on, gang? Good afternoon. Hi there. Greetings. Fist bumps and salutations and slaps across the face. Welcome. My name is Alan Cox. Thank you for being here on a Monday. Say hi to Bill Squire. He's right over there.
Hey, creepy hugs, everyone. Thanks for listening to and watching this episode of the Alan Cox Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share a cold one with the boys.
Mary Santora is here.
Hi, guys. No babies.
Poundcake is back behind the glass.
Afternoon, white people.
If you'd like to join us, please do. If you want to do it live, 216-578-1007, 800-348-1007. If you want to use the After Hours line, just drop a message there. 216-986-8903. Text me 35192. I got a lot of messages over the weekend about Taylor Hawkins. I didn't think the weekend was going to get weirder than Taylor Hawkins dying. Got a lot of messages about Poundcake eating in his bed. That really stuck in people's craw.
My mom called me about that. Like, why do people care? I got it from my mom.
What did she say when she called you?
She said once a month.
About changing your sheets?
Yeah, she said once a month. She's like, I know I bought you more than 2 sheets. I'm like, you probably did, but I probably lost them.
Well, then what did you get from your mom?
Eating in bed.
Oh, I hate that. I'm assuming this is when I was out. But
So her issue
Yeah.
is that you don't change. The eating in bed's totally fine. Just wash your sheets more often.
I got it from her because when we were young.
I mean, I think that's fair. I think eating in bed is gross, but I think that's at least fair. Yeah, just wash your sheets more than once a month if you are eating in your bed. As you described it, Chinese food. This wasn't you like in a hot pocket.
Meals, yeah.
right. Or just a little snack.
Yeah, and he's eating like a string cheese or something. He's got
containers.
Yeah, he's got containers.
Well, you don't eat a poo-poo platter in your bed?
No.
Do you even know what a poo-poo platter is, by the way?
It's like seafood, right?
I don't know that it's seafood. Isn't it Hawaiian food? Isn't it like roast pig and things like that?
On an array or something like that.
Oh, all right. An assortment of small meats and seafood appetizers. So we were all correct.
There you go.
We were all right. Poundcake's in there eating a poo-poo platter. He's getting poo-poo all over his sheets.
I was just thinking about that this morning because I dropped off my duvet, like the goose down duvet, to be dry cleaned for the first time, and it was like a year.
Not the cover, the
Not
comforter
the cover,
itself,
the
the
comforter
duvet.
itself. I washed the cover I change my sheets like every 2 weeks, and I had that duvet for probably at least a year, and I was like, man, I don't know, I've never cleaned this thing, so I took it and got it dry cleaned, and then I Googled it, and it was like, oh yeah, once a year is more than fine, as long as you're cleaning the cover regularly.
Is this a down duvet or what is it?
Yeah, because I was like, am I being gross? Like, is this like going to be so nasty?
Well, I think the cover of anything is what you want to clean.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. I just didn't know, but yeah, I picked
That's what's going to come in contact with the poo-poo platters.
With your poo-poo platters.
With your poo-poo platters.
You mean your bed doesn't sound like a doctor's office every time you roll over?
It's crunchy.
A doctor's
like
office.
The paper.
Like the paper.
It's like
the butcher
you sit
paper.
on.
Like the little mats that they have you lay on?
Well, that's what I said. I said last week, his sheets are like tortillas you leave out overnight on,
exactly.
on the counter.
Taylor is in that John Bonham school of drummer. Not the persnickety stuff, but the basic fundamental where every time it sounds very important.
Taylor has the toughest job because he's the drummer in a band that includes the greatest drummer alive. And he's got technique that Dave only dreams about.
You're going to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Foo Fighters.
First, I'd like to thank Dave. None of this would happen if it wasn't for Dave. Thank you for letting me be in your band. I want to thank my beautiful wife, Allison, my beautiful children, Shane Hawkins, Annabelle Hawkins, Everly Hawkins. I love you guys so much. Thanks, everyone.
It's times like these.
So Taylor Hawkins just turned 50 years old. He turned 50 last month, and they found him dead in his hotel room in Colombia. And again, he was, for people who know the saga of Taylor Hawkins, you know that he was a heavy drug user for a long, long time, and that seems to be exactly what did him in down there. Back in the day, Bogota was shorthand for drugs, right? I mean, like if you had a friend coming in from Bogota, that was a code for all kinds of things. It's not necessarily that way anymore, but I'm sure everybody has read exhaustively the details. This happened Friday night. I don't know exactly when. I got the text from Bill. I couldn't sleep. I was having a real hard time sleeping. And so...
I saw it as they tweeted it. Like, I just happened to be on Twitter, and it was less than a minute since they tweeted out that, and I was like, is this a joke? Are they trying to promote the movie or something? Then it's like, no, this is real.
Yeah, we watched that movie. We watched that Studio 666 on Saturday night. And boy, they tried to cram a lot. Has anybody seen that movie?
Nah,
you watched it?
See that one? No.
Still $20. You want to rent it, but it was entertaining enough. I mean, there's some good gore in it. There's some good kills. It kind of goes off the rails at the end there, but they tried to, it was entertaining enough. Taylor Hawkins married. He had 3 kids. Again, 20 years ago, he OD'd on heroin and was in a coma for a period of time when he was in Foo Fighters. He was Alanis Morissette's touring drummer before that. He talked about how Alanis told him what his future was going to hold.
And I got on a plane with Alanis after doing a couple shows with the Foo Fighters. And she said, what are you going to do when Dave Grohl asks you to join the Foo Fighters? She literally said that. And I went, well, that's never going to happen. And I would never leave you, darling. But the drummer quit, or he couldn't handle it. So I stepped in, and I called Dave myself, and I said, I'm your drummer. Sorry. And he's like, but you're Alanis. She's the biggest thing in the world. And I'm like, well, Alanis is a solo act, and this is a band. And I love your band, and I want to play hard rock.
So cast your mind back to 1996, where Dave Grohl couldn't conceive of a guy wanting to leave Alanis Morissette's band.
Right.
Because she was such a massive star, and even though he was Dave Grohl, Foo Fighters were just like a thing that came out. They were just getting going. Everybody had short hair. It was a long time ago, They had a drummer named William Goldsmith. He was kind of the first drummer for the Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl, of course, put out that first album where he played everything. And then he brought in this guy named William Goldsmith, who was their original drummer. But he just, for whatever reason, couldn't get it together in the studio. Studio drumming, obviously, is very, very different than when you're out touring, when you can kind of slash things around a little bit and dick around. But in the studio, especially if you're putting a Dave Grohl record together, you want to make sure that everything sounds good. And this William Goldsmith guy, for whatever reason, couldn't get it together. So there was a lot of tension between him and Grohl. Grohl ended up going back and re-recording all of Goldsmith's drum parts for The Color and the Shape. And he ended up saying, look, this isn't working out. And then Taylor Hawkins slid in and was like, I'm your guy, and the rest was history. But they found everything in his body. The initial reports, the initial tox reports from the people down there in Colombia, they found everything in his body. So he was clearly going through some stuff. He was not a guy who ever looked healthy. He was skinny, The last time I saw Foo Fighters is when they did, we saw them at the Rock Hall Inductions, we saw them at the House of Blues a couple of nights prior when they were doing that. They were doing that show in anticipation of it was Rock Hall weekend, and they were played the House of Blues, and Taylor Hawkins was a phenomenal member of that band. I initially said to Gwen, I said, I bet this is the end of the Foo Fighters. I bet they're going to pull like a John Bonham, Led Zeppelin type thing here. I've kind of thought a little bit more about that. I don't know that that's necessarily true. In the initial blush of it, he and Taylor Hawkins were so close that I was like, at the very least, you're not going to hear anything from them for quite some time. But they found 10 different substances in his body. So he
didn't just relapse. He was like, I'm going. Maybe he wanted to die.
Was he sober?
My understanding was that he was. I didn't know if
That's someone who wants to die, because you don't just gingerly take everything all at once. You're not. I'm just going to test the waters and see what I can take.
Well, but a lot of it's prescription. I'm sure he had depressants and he had antidepressants and he had things to make you sleep. And it's
But that stuff together. We've heard too many stories like that where it's prescription, but you're not. They counteract each other.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a guy who wanted to die. This I believe this would be 1,000% an accident. He seemed to have a pretty good life. He had a wife, he had 3 kids. I'm going to break here. I'm going to get more into that, though. We'll get into the Will Smith stuff, too, because everybody's got thoughts about that. 35192, if you want to send a text for anything. I will have Kid Rock tickets for you for people who want to go see him. He's doing a show at Blossom in August. We'll hand those off later on. WWE 2K22. For whatever platform you play that on later as well. And we'll be back.